I would now request Satyan Israni to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Naveen Taliani.
Thank you, Shani. Naveen Taliani is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Tata AIA Life Insurance Limited. He brings with him rich experience of over 2 decades in financial services, insurance, banking, and asset management. His association with Tata AIA commenced in 2015 as the CEO and MD of the company, where he led the organization's transformation by turning around the vital metrics of company and catapulting Tata AIA from a number 17 position to a number 5 in a span of 3.5 years. Under his stewardship, Tata AIA scripted profitable growth by nurturing a performance-oriented culture and driving a consumer-centric business model. Agency and proprietary distribution channels grew significantly and new partnerships were forged as the company consolidated its successful omni-channel strategy. Tata AIA scaled to the number 2 position in claim settlement ratio as well as on 13th month persistency and dynamic net promoter score, which was initiated and which became a beacon for measuring consumer advocacy and satisfaction. During his tenure, Tata AI has also become the proud recipient of the Aon Hewitt Best Employer Award 3 years in a row. Thereafter, Naveen moved to AIA as CEO, Group Partnership Distribution for the next 1.5 years. He rejoined Tata AI as CEO and MD in October 2020 after a brief stint at Axis Bank in a senior leadership role. Last year, under his leadership, Tata AI became number 1 in retail protection and also won the Aon Best Employer for the 5th time in a row. Prior to joining Tata AI in 2015, he has served as senior partner at McKinsey & Company based in Mumbai and led the financial services practice in India and Southeast Asia, mainly Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the other countries. At McKinsey, he worked with some of the largest public, private, and foreign financial service institutions. Naveen holds an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and a Bachelor of Technology from IIT Madras. He is passionate about running, is an avid reader, and loves watching and reading science and science fiction. Ladies and gentlemen, Rotarians, we now have Mr. Naveen Taliani.
Thank you. Thank you, Satyan. Thank you to the President, Secretary, and all members of the Rotary Club. My sincere privilege and honor to be here with you today. And thank you for that very full and long introduction. I'm not sure I deserve that, but thank you. I'm not that familiar with Zoom, to be honest, so I'll try and share my slides in a minute. But I just want to say 2 things before I start. One is this journey that we are undergoing at Tata AIA is still very much work in process. It is not that we have reached a point of destination or that we have arrived in any way. I think there's always that danger in companies that once you achieve something, you believe that you've kind of reached the final destination. So I very much want to caveat that our journey is a work in process. And second is that, when you kind of tell the story and present what happened, the mind tends to romanticize some aspects and, put it in a certain neat sequence and flow of this happened first and this happened next and so on and so forth, where it almost seems like, you're kind of reading a well-scripted novel. So while my presentation may kind of convey that sense, the reality is that we muddled our way through this. We got a few things right, which is why we kind of did well, but we got many things wrong as well. And there are many things in hindsight that we could have done differently. So I'll be happy to kind of share some of those thoughts as well. So with those 2 caveats, give me a minute. I'm trying to just share my screen and see if that works. Can you just give me a confirmation if you can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Okay. So as the title says, is journey so far, which is very much to my first point that this is work in process. I'll try and do this quickly in about 20-25 minutes, and then I would rather use your time to answer your questions rather than guess as to what will be of your interest. So I think we are the progeny of 2 very mighty shareholders. Tata Group needs absolutely no introduction to anyone in India. All I would say is that there is a strong desire in the Tata Group right now, under the chairmanship of the current chairman, that we kind of make our mark in financial services as well, in addition to everything else that the Tata Group does, which is very, very diverse. AIA, which owns 49% of our company, was born out of AIG in 2010, when AIG had to pay its US dollar 50 billion debt to the US Treasury. One of the ways they kind of managed that was to spin off AIA with a $29 billion IPO in 2010. And that $29 billion IPO today is worth about 170 billion US dollars, 6 times in the last 10, 11 years, to the point where AIA is now by far the largest life insurance company in the world by market cap. AIA is only into life insurance, only in Asia, and in that sense, we couldn't have asked for two better shareholders. The Tata Group, of course, evokes a lot of trust and has a brand promise in India which is unparalleled. And AIA Group, with its expertise and focus on Asia in life insurance, provides a solid business model support and guidance. Now, this is our story. If you can see it on the screen, our company was kind of incorporated in 2001. From 2001 to 2010, we had some secular growth, and Tata AIA was number 8. For a variety of reasons, which I will not go into, we had a terrible phase, which is kind of mildly labeled here as a contraction phase from 2010 to 2015, when we went from number 8 to number 17. And not only that, if you can see, we lost our top line from 1,000 crores plus, which was a respectable number in 2010, down to 234 crores in 2015. And from 2015 onwards, we've been kind of on this journey of rebuilding the company, transforming the company, and we've been quite lucky to get back to number 5 in where we are right now. And we reached this position somewhere towards the middle of 2018. So as Satyan said, I think in about 3.5 years, we got to number 5. And our top line today on new business premium is about 3,500 crores. And on total premium, it's in excess of 10,000 crores. So that's the graph of our trajectory. Some numbers just to anchor our discussion. As I said, our total premium crossed 10,000 crores last fiscal year, FY21. New business premium was about 3,500 crores, give or take. Market share at close to 8%, number 5 in the industry. But we are the largest life insurer which is not affiliated with a bank. So if you look at some of the insurers which are larger than us, like SBI Life, HDFC Life, ICICI Prudential, they all have the privilege of working with a group bank, which gives them very large scale and very large distribution. We have no such advantage, so we have to work a little harder and we have to work a little different to make our mark. What is of immense pride to me is what you see on the left-hand side. Last year on retail protection, we became number 1 in the industry. For a couple of years before that, we were threatening to be number 1, but we were number 2 or 3. But last year we rose to number 1, and I will talk about why this is so important to us. And I think we built a business which is not just high volume, but also high quality. So when you look at persistency, which is a technical measure for saying how many customers renew the policy that they buy with us, our number has increased to 88%, as you can see. The best in the industry is at 89%, so we are not too far away. And our claim settlement ratio, which is again very important for a life insurance company, we exist to pay claims. We are at 98%, which is again in the top 3 in the industry consistently for the last 3 years. Even during COVID, through FY21, which is all the way from April 20 to March 21, when we had the first wave of COVID, we've done quite well. We've grown last year at 27%, whereas the industry, private sector industry, grew at 8%. So we outperformed the industry by about 3.5 times. And including LIC, the industry actually grew by 4%. So by that metric, we outperformed the industry by about 7 to 8 times. We did a bunch of things which I'll kind of let you glance through. But I think one of the things that I feel again very happy about is our focus on employee vaccination in particular. We are a very employee-centric company. It is clear to us that whatever we have achieved is on the back of the hard work and dedication and loyalty of our employees. We are today about 9,000 people as a company. And I think it is because of the contribution of each and every one of these 9,000 people that we are where we are. And it is also clear that we will get to where we want to get to only with the dedication, hard work, and support of these 9,000 people. So while there are many things on this page, I think what is of central importance to me is that we kind of ran a very strong vaccination program for our employees. Very pleased to say that 99% of our 9,000 employees have at least one dose, and 86% of our employees who are eligible right now have the second dose. And I think by the end of September, 90% plus of our employees will have the second dose as well. So if I kind of step back now and tell you what worked for us through the last 6 years in terms of our transformation, the main point I want to convey is that we went back to the drawing board and recrafted our vision, mission, and values. And the reason I want to kind of spend a minute on this is that very often, even in my own mind in 2015, vision, mission, values were things to be put on screensavers, to be put maybe on plaques in the boardroom, or kind of put across different parts of the organization. And as I said, we muddled our way through this journey, but the main anchor we've had has been these three statements that you see on the page. And I'll pick up each one of these and talk about it. But to me, in 2015 and 2016, articulating these three pieces of statement and then holding our strategy, business model, and execution true to these three pieces of statement has been the single biggest reason that we have tasted whatever success we have tasted so far. Let me pick up each one of these very, very quickly. So our vision is to be the preeminent protection provider, enabling dreams, inspiring healthier and happier lives. Now, this at first blush may seem like a lot of good English, almost poetry in some ways. But each one of these words has a meaning for our business model. I'll illustrate a couple. When we put this vision on the ground in 2015, life insurance industry was very much savings focused. We were not, as an industry, forget about Tata AIA, which was an obscure number 17 player at that time. The entire industry was very much focused on savings, and we kind of said that, look, if we want to rise from number 17 to a better position, we cannot do what the big boys are doing. And the big boys at that time were the same as the big boys of today. So it was ICICI Prudential, HDFC Life, SBI Life, maybe slightly different order in their rankings today compared to then. But they were the same big boys as they are today. And we said, we're not going to beat these big boys by doing what they do and hope to do it better. So what can we do differently? And we said, look, let's try and pivot the game to protection, because life insurance is meant to be protection. It's only in India that it evolved more as a savings instrument, thanks to the legacy of LIC. And I think that single choice led us to a whole bunch of innovations on product design, on training our people, on creating a process by which we could issue protection policies much quicker than almost anybody else. And that is what has given us a lot of volume. That is why, as I said, becoming number one on protection last year was of supreme importance to us. We are not preeminent yet, but we are at least number one on protection. And that's a good start. And I think it did wonders for our branding. It talked nicely to the Tata brand, because the Tata brand is known for trust. And in protection, the main question people ask is that when they are not around, will the company be around and pay the claims that it is supposed to pay? And with the Tata Group, which has existed for 150 years, and the AIA Group, which also has existed for 100 plus years, I think that question we were able to address in the minds of our consumers. And we were able to build up the book, backed by the 98-99% claim settlement ratio that we've had over the last 3 years. I think put us in a very good, but also in a very, very differentiated place compared to the rest of the competition. In terms of mission, to provide the best and simplest life and health insurance solutions, I'll pick a couple from here. Best and simplest. Again, if I go back to 2015, the life insurance industry, as I said, was focused more on savings. And within savings, focused on two categories, which, I mean, the names don't matter, but this is what we tend to do in the life insurance industry. We tend to complicate stuff. So we had something called unit linked products and something called par products. Doesn't matter what they are, not relevant to the discussion. But the big issue was the consumers weren't clear what they were buying and what returns they would get. So at one end, while we innovated on protection, as which I already talked about, at the other end, we were the first in the industry to introduce guaranteed plans. We said, don't worry about market, don't worry about participating policies, right, which are not clear about what return they will give you. Here is a guaranteed return, and coming from the house of Tata, we will stand guaranteed. Now, it was easy to say this than to do this, because when you give a guarantee to a consumer that you will give him or her a certain interest rate over a long period of time, and we write 20-year, 30-year, 40-year policies, you need to make sure you're earning that rate of return with a profit margin to pass it back onto the consumer. And we were the first again to work with a couple of foreign banks at that time to create the first derivative instruments in the market, which allowed us to do this. Again, I will not get into the technical detail unless there is some specific question at the end. But it was a great example to my mind of, again, muddling through to say, okay, if we want to do this, it's not as simple as it seems at first blush. And you have to be innovative enough to create something which doesn't exist in India today. And we are, again, very proud of the fact that we created the first, what is called forward rate agreement in the market. And even as of today, we are the largest writers of forward rate agreements, because we are amongst the top players in providing guaranteed products to our consumers. The other phrase I will pick up here on is solutions. I think life insurance, by and large, at that time, maybe to some extent even now, is hit and run. You sell the consumer one policy and then you forget about the consumer. And we tried to take this approach that let's address the needs of the consumer, and consumers have different needs of protection, savings, at different stages of their lives. And therefore we said, let's try to get into what we call solution selling, which is, offer multiple products, what you see here as combo solutions, multiple products rather than a single product. And let's make sure we really invest in understanding the needs of our consumer and fulfilling them. Our values, this probably, when we kind of got together as a top team in 2015-16, was the biggest point of our kind of discussion. Each and every word that we crafted in our values kind of took a lot of time and energy. Our first value was consumer obsession. We had a lot of debate at that time whether it should be consumer centricity, consumer friendliness, etc. But again, we said, let's pick obsession as a word in a positive connotation, not in a negative connotation. And I think a couple of examples of that, which I'll highlight, is we were, again, very focused on creating a measurement of each and every touch point that we have with the consumer, how happy she or he is with us at each of those touch points. So when they kind of come to our website, when they call up our call center, when they purchase a policy, when they have a claim request, when they have a service request, etc., how well are we interacting with them? So that's the point in the middle. And it took us a couple of years to get this right, maybe even 3 years. But today, we are able to measure real time what is called NPS, Net Promoter Score, which allows us to have a pulse on what our consumer is feeling about our interaction with them, and how do we kind of use this to continuously improve each and every aspect of our business model. On passion for excellence, which is our second value, I think this is about setting very high standards. And I'm trying to illustrate this value into a business model example through what we have done with our agency. So our agency, which is one channel of our distribution, proprietary channel, we own it, we control it, we run it. For the longest time, it's been at number 8 or 7, and last year we rose to number 4. But not only did we rise to number 4, if you look at metrics of productivity, in terms of productivity of an agent or branch productivity, we are number 1 today, or we were number 1 last year in FY21, and we continue to be there. And I think this is because we have taken a different approach of not just focusing on scale, but focusing on productivity of our agents, because productivity of our agents is, of course, beneficial for us, but it is equally beneficial for our advisors, because they earn a steady income from us, and therefore they are more committed to Tata AIA and to the life insurance profession. rather than doing it as a part-time thing. Again, this is a journey that is work in process, but the fact that we set a sight on saying, we will be the number one productive agency in the country, and we achieved that after a lot of hard work and energy, I think is a testimony to staying true to that value. Last, but probably the most important, is the fact that ultimately whatever we have achieved is because of our people. And we spent again a lot of time saying what kind of a company do we want to be. You can imagine that in 2015, when we were number 17, we had shrunk to about 1,800 people. Today, as I said, we are about 9,000 people, growing. We are adding about 2,000 people every year. But in 2015, good talent had deserted us. We had less senior people than we needed. And we had to find a way to get the right talent in, but also energize our existing workforce. So a few things that we did, I think one is we spent a lot of time as a senior management team going down, visiting our people in the branches. I remember in January, February, March of 2015, I personally visited 60 out of our 200 branches. Today we are 300 going to 400 branches. But at that time we had at that time, I'm sorry, we had 150 branches. I personally went to 60 of those branches. My colleagues similarly covered the others. And we spent a lot of time in terms of two-way communication, understanding the challenges, explaining to people our direction and where we were going, listening to their feedback, including that in our strategy, and a lot of stuff that I'm talking about in terms of protection, in terms of guarantees, in terms of consumer obsession. The specific strategies came from our interaction with the front line. They were not created in an exalted boardroom with some senior guys putting their effort. It came from a lot of bottom-up feedback that we were able to collect from each and every single employee that we had. We spent a lot of time engaging our people. And let me talk about item 3 first, which is recognition for performance. We said we want to be known in the industry for providing the best rewards for outsized performance. And best rewards, of course, is in money, but we said money will not be in terms of fixed pay, but variable pay. Even till date, our variable pay for our highest performers is the highest in the industry. But not only variable pay, but we said, look, whether it is out of turn promotions, whether it is larger roles, whether it is recognition at the Tata Group level, whether it is recognition at the AIA Group level, I think we'll pull all those levers to recognize our top 200 people. And top 200 people kind of goes pretty deep down in terms of hierarchy and levels in the organization. And I think we did also spend a lot of energy, not just initiating the two-way communication, but kind of keeping at it for a very long period of time. And over a period of time, we kind of increased the engagement of our employees. And that's why in last year, we had an employee engagement score, which is the second bullet point here on the right, of 91, which we were told was a new record in the financial services industry in India. And for the last 5 years, we have been starting 2016. We have been the best employers, Kincentric Best Employer. Earlier, this was called Aon Best Employer for 5 years in a row. So ultimately, I think, as I said, it's all about people. People are at the core of everything that we do. And I dare say we've made good progress in creating a culture where people feel a part of the fabric of the organization. They feel they can contribute to it. Our attrition rates, I'm happy to say, and I touch wood as I speak this, is by far the lowest in the industry across all levels. And I think that is a sign that we are doing maybe a few things right, particularly on this front. Last but not the least, I'll not get into the details here, but as I said, this is very much a journey which is work in progress. And I think we are created to continued innovation, which is the first point here, which is about building an integrated health and wellness ecosystem. I would put this a little bluntly. Life insurance today in India has a very morbid proposition. I think our proposition to consumers is if a mortality event happens or a critical illness event happens, we pay a claim. And that's not an energizing proposition in which to engage consumers. So I think we are going to innovate around saying how can we help our consumers live healthier, better, longer lives, and without boring you with the gory detail there. That is going to be the crux of our journey over the next 5 years. I dare say we have underinvested in technology, data, and analytics, and each one of those is going to be a big focus area for us. This year, we are investing about 30 billion US dollars into technology in a very material manner, and I think we will reap the rewards of that as we go forward. But again, the last point here, which is the most important, is while we've done well with our people on pretty much every metric so far, thanks to our people, we need to innovate for the future through creating an agile organization. One of the challenges as we've become so large, 9,000 plus as I speak, is that we've lost a little bit of our agility. Things which used to take days take weeks, things which used to take weeks now take months. So we've got to bring that culture of agility back. We have to have new capabilities linked to our new focus areas of data analytics and technology. And we need to think about how we can get some of these skills into our company, not just by traditional recruiting and putting people on roles, but working through gig workforce, working through part-time consulting. And one of the things that the pandemic has taught us to do is work from anywhere. So I think we are kind of poised to take advantage of that. So that's going to be our journey. And again, like it has been in the last 6 years, people will be at the center. People will be at the fulcrum of our progress and our journey as we move forward. So with that, I'll just pause and let me see if I can find a way to take this off the screen. And as I said, very much a work in process journey, but this has been our experience and this has been our journey so far. Happy to pause here and take questions, if any.
I think, Mudit, you said you have a question.
Yes, President.
I would just like to thank you for a very lucid talk. I'm very sure that having these kind of employee-centric schemes is most of your success. So, Mudit, if you'd like to.
Yes. Thank you, Naveen ji, for your dynamism. Just to share with you, President Shehnaaz and me know Harsha Agadi. He was the former CEO of Crawford & Company in America, the largest services provider to insurance companies. So if you want to connect with him, please get in touch with President Shehnaaz. So my question is that in America, Berkshire Hathaway, and also in Canada, Prem Vatsa's Fairfax Industries, they fuel their business growth through insurance disintermediation of funds. Is it the case in India also that insurance businesses are cash rich, so you collect premiums upfront, then you can deploy it, and then whenever the claims are payable, that's payable, but still you have a good cash flow positive thing in your business, sir? Thank you.
So it's a very thank you for that question. It's a very technical question, and I think when you look at Fairfax and Berkshire, they are more into general insurance, and they are present in India as well. I think initially through ICICI Lombard, and now both of them have started to back some digital general insurance players. And I think by and large, what you said is very true in general insurance, that you are by and large and when I say general insurance, I mean, just to kind of explain that term, it means everything other than life insurance. So it means motor, property, fire, marine, engineering, that kind of stuff. And if you look at the way general insurance companies in India, they make their money, it's exactly in the way you said, Mudit, which is they are cash flow positive. Actually, their costs exceed their revenues, but they make a lot of money from investments, and they pay claims out of that. And to my knowledge, there is only one company in general insurance in India which has combined operating ratio of less than 100%, which means that their costs are less than their revenues. Interesting as it may seem. But life insurance is a different ballgame. Life insurance, we don't have that advantage. Actually, what happens in India is due to regulations and accounting standards, and given our cost of acquisition, on an average, and please take this as directional, on an average, When we sell a policy, we break even on that policy from a cash flow perspective in about 6 to 7 years, if not longer. And therefore, if you think of it from our shareholders' perspective, we are out of the money for about 6 to 7 years. We barely break even at that point of time. And then whatever profit the company makes is when people stick on and pay their premiums beyond 6 to 7 years. So our business has a very different dynamic compared to what you described. And the source of value creation in our industry is not short term, is very much medium to long term, where we have to make sure that not only are we able to sell today, but we are able to collect premiums and service customers for the next 20, 10, 20, 30 years. So I hope that addresses your question.
Yes, thank you, sir. Maybe you can get more key men or key women policies to boost your business. Thank you, sir.
It is a big area of focus for us. Again, I'm glad to say we are number one on employer-employee key men business insurance solutions, and it is a big area of focus for us. Absolutely, you are right. It's a huge opportunity in India.
The next question is from Anand Dalal.
Naveen?
Anand?
Yeah, I'm here. Naveen, great journey so far and best wishes for the future as well. But if you were to introspect and say something that you think that you may have missed out on the journey thus far, what would you think?
Thank you, Anand, for the question and your good wishes. I think the biggest miss we had was we were late to invest in technology. And I mean here not the nuts and bolts of technology, maybe some nuts and bolts as well, but in digital and in disrupting ourselves. I go back to 2018, and right now I'm speaking to you from Goa. We have our kind of agency conference here. Our top 150 sellers are here, and I remember we had a similar employee conference in 2018. And we had a lot of debate on this front that what is the right time to disrupt ourselves using technology. And I think, we didn't have the conviction at that point of time to invest ahead of the curve. And when I look at what the pandemic has done in terms of digital, in terms of the way we are now able to use data, hindsight is always 2020, of course, but I do have a feeling of regret that maybe we could have generated that conviction in ourselves in 2018 itself, and we would have been in a different place. Now, I don't think we are worse off than any of our competitors, but when I look at the innovation that's happening in fintechs, in insurtechs, in health techs, right? These guys are showing us the way in terms of how to interact with consumers, how to look at their data, how to simplify policy issuance, how to simplify service experience. And I think that's been a big miss for us. We are correcting it as quickly, as keenly as we can. As I said, this year we're going to invest upwards of $30 million in our technology. But yes, that has to count as the single biggest miss that we made.
Thanks. And I hope that you'll be the big boy in the near future and you won't have to refer to someone else as a big boy.
We are a medium-sized boy today. We are not that far away from number 4 as we speak. And I think if things go well this year, maybe we will steal that mantle. So yeah, we are certainly in the vicinity. But look, it's not a question of our market position. The one other thing I mentioned to our top 150 agents this morning also is our competition is not with our peers. Our competition is with the fact that insurance in India is vastly underpenetrated. If you look at the protection gap in India, the gap is 83%, which means if an average Indian should have 100 rupees of protection, the average Indian has only 17 rupees. She has a gap of 83. So I think if we can find the right products, the right propositions, the right mechanisms, access mechanisms to the Indian consumer, she will buy our product, and we will all see tremendous amount of growth. And personally, I am very excited for the life insurance industry over the next 10 to 20 years.
Me, for one, when you take away the morbidity selling point, will be a big selling point to me because, I hate people who say that, okay, if you die or if you have this and then someone else benefits, and you're bang on that. So, I mean, if you find a way, innovative way to get rid of that kind of selling, then I'm sure you'll do a great job. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't want to be crude.
That is the meaning of life insurance, isn't it?
I agree, but sometimes when someone tells you that someone behind you is going to gain and not you, then it just puts someone off. So it's, I mean, if they find a innovative way to market it along with that, then it's a great thing. That's all I'm saying.
No, you are absolutely right. And I didn't want to be crude on this forum, but the point I made to our agents this morning is our proposition is you die, we pay, right? You fall sick and you have to fall sick with a critical illness and we pay. It's not an exciting proposition. And, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased to say that we've been working with the regulator for the last 3 years to launch a very innovative proposition, which they have approved. We are going to launch it in February. So Anand, I'll come to you in February and hopefully I'll be able to convince you then.
I'm already a policy holder anyways, fine, but.
No, and I'm sure you are insured, so we have to get you to buy more insurance.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, we've got now Neeraj Chopra as our brand ambassador. And it was of course, it was an opportunistic choice, but a very thoughtful choice because we are going to pivot quite a bit in terms of our branding on health and wellness. And we are going to invest a lot on our branding also this year. To be honest, we haven't invested in our branding for the last 6 years. I can be honest with you, people still confuse us with Tata AIG, and that's okay, because I think I wanted us to reach a certain size and scale before we put marketing dollars behind what we want to do. But with Neeraj as our brand ambassador, with this health and wellness proposition, which is approved by the regulator, I am very excited about what the future holds for us.
I think we have one last question from Satyan.
Yeah. Thanks, Shani. Naveen, that was very insightful about your journey and how you transformed Tata AIA. I had a question. Have you seen any change in performance in the insurance industry during the COVID times over the last 1 year? And also, has there of late been a generational mindset change? Because at least in my circles, whoever I talk to, everybody has term insurance as a given.
Yes. So second one first, maybe. I think, Satyan, you are absolutely right that I think the pandemic has made us all aware of our own mortality. And in that sense, the demand for term insurance and the ability of people and the willingness of people to buy term insurance has gone up quite significantly. And we've kind of benefited from that, maybe benefited a little more than the most, which is why we ended up being number one last year. I think the other impact of, back to your first question, the other impact of pandemic has been, of course, on our bottom line. Claims have just gone through the roof. And you can imagine that when we price our products, COVID, unfortunately, is fortunately, I should say, is a once in 100-year event. And none of us kind of had bargained for what we will go through in wave 2 in particular. I think wave 1 was still manageable. So it has dented the bottom line of insurers very, very significantly. But at the same time, because it has increased awareness of insurers, growth is still there in the industry. I mean, for example, last month we grew 45% over August last year. And as I said, last year we had grown at 27%. So there's plus and minus to it, but we are actually born of two good shareholders. We are not starved of capital. So I feel optimistic that we'll be able to ride out this difficult phase and in fact maybe come out of it stronger as we move forward.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now I'd request Dr. Akshay Batra to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, President, and thank you so much, Mr. Tahiliani, for taking us to the wonderful turnaround story. We wish you all the very best from here and we'll look forward to the continued progress of your organization. As a token of our appreciation for the afternoon spent with our members of our club, we will on your behalf plant 10 fruit-bearing trees at Nilmati Dandwal Gram Panchayat, Maharashtra, and the said certificate will be forwarded to you shortly.